Boot fans, welcome on in. Tuesday evening, not our normal evening for a show, or it could be our normal evening for a show going forward, right? Rich, how you doing over there, bud?
Uh, it feels like this is the first time I've done this because it feels like it's been a little while. So,
Yeah,
we'll get back into it.
we took a week off, and that actually means that we have a full sheet of notes that we need to run through today because there have been a lot of boots released in the past week. Some really cool boots, some really unusual boots, and we're going to try and tackle them all during the show. Anything new going on with you? You been good?
Been good. Just playing a couple of nights a week. Yeah, like you said, we might be flipping. We might be flipping to two. Well, actually, right now, I think we're flipping to whenever we can fit it in with the way things are going over here. But
Yes,
night-wise,
yes. Sickness and work schedule has kind of affected us over the past
yeah,
week. So,
but that'll
um,
happen.
hey, what boots are you wearing right now?
I'm still. I've just started breaking in the crazy light, the crazy quick, not the crazy light, the crazy quick in the indoor games. So that's the new one. So that means review will be starting soon. Got it. Sorry, as I disappear there, putting a cup of tea down. We have still wearing the Elastico Superflies as well. So it's all indoor stuff right now.
Yeah, we got two good reviews coming up, and I like the fact that I got to check out those crazy quick before you start testing them because it gives me a little bit of insight into what you're probably thinking with them. And obviously the Superflies, Elastico Superflies, is going to be a really interesting combo review. I know we've got differing opinions on that one, so.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure how differing. But that's the question.
I would
I,
imagine. I would imagine pretty different.
Well, that's the beauty of it is you're gonna get to see what I write, and then I'm gonna
Well,
get to see yours when you post it.
I'll write it at the same time as you're writing it then.
Okay, well that'll probably be Friday.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's get cracking right now. You should have the Haters Pack that was released in the past few days. That's where we're going to start. We're going to kick it all off. Just to run through what we got going on today because we do have a lot going on. And we want you guys to stay tuned and know what is happening during the show. We're going to start off the Haters Pack right here. We've got the Superfly Black History Month, the Evo Speed Africa, Evo Power Camo, and the current Evo Power release. Evo Speed, the Aguero version. Vapor Untouchable, we're going to run over. The Superfly CR7 Gold. I've got two pairs of boots here that we're going to go over. We've got a ton of stuff that we need to go over today. So we'll kick it off right here. Let me just lock in this camera so you guys can stay on this view. Rich, what was your impression of this series when it was released?
Uh, I suppose I half come into that hater sort of theory on
You,
that.
you are a hater.
If you don't necessarily like these, it means you're a hater of Adidas.
Yeah.
Which is ironic considering I probably own more Adidas boots than any other company, but still. Yeah, no. The Predator, like I told you beforehand, just reminds me of like the official boot of Bayern Munich.
Absolutely is. Agree
Uh,
100%.
yeah. The Nitro Charge I don't mind. It has a nice little pop to it. Looks like a sort of cyan and like indigo purple sort of color hit to it. So that's a nice looking. I'm actually a fan of that.
Yeah.
Uh, 11 Pro. It's fairly basic, I suppose you could say. I mean, from what they've done with the original release, they've kind of toned it down. Then you have the F50, which it looks terrifying. Uh, as I said to you when you got your pair in yesterday, I asked you, the first question is, I go, were all those studs like fangs? And you kind of said yes.
Yeah, and I might as well bring it up right now. Okay, we're up. So I've got my pair right here. They arrived in yesterday. They came in via Adidas, so they're coming from the source. You get your box, your two boots, obviously. You get a pair of boots, and we also get a little boot bag, which is nice.
Does the boot bag have fangs?
Yeah, you don't want to put your hand inside. It's kind of dangerous.
Okay.
It's kind of like that textile material. It does have that fake design. that's on the boots, the side of the boots. So it's got a little bit of a different look. Easier on the bottom, and then that space in between for whatever you want to slip in here.
Yeah.
There's only one set of insoles, so you're not getting your comfort and speed insoles anymore. So it's a single pair, and that's that's usually where you put something like that. But
yeah. What insoles are you getting?
it's the comfort. They're pretty
smart play.
I agree, and I mean these boots weigh in at 7 ounces, so it's not like they're a super lightweight. They are lightweight. You've got that. The boot itself, I'll let you see the upper up close, where it's got that textured design.
Yeah, I know. It's like that snake skinny sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my camera's not focusing right now, but whatever. You've got that design on the side, kind of like that dragon skin look. It's got that mixed red and silver/black. Addy Zero hit on the side, which I think is probably sideways on your screen, is it?
No, it's good to go. Yeah, no, it's yeah.
We got that. We got the 3-stripe, and one of the reasons this is in play, which I figured out, is underneath. You can kind of see the faint stitching underneath.
Yeah.
So that one piece upper obviously comes around to the back, and this is where they've stitched it, and they've used one of the stripes to cover it.
That's ingenious.
Smart move, right?
Yeah.
You just hit on the other side.
I mean, I miss the 3 stripes on the side of the boot because well, that's Adidas,
it's different, right?
Yeah.
It's unusual for a brand like Adidas not to cover it in their branding, but you do get your F50 on the tongue.
Yeah.
And then, you ready for this? You ready for this? You guys ready for this? I'm gonna flip them over. That's sole play.
Which is,
the back heel. You've got your 3-stud.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty big spine. I mean, you can see how that's a raised, ridged design. And then you move into that 4-foot with that like claw-like design.
Yeah.
So you can see how much definition. So basically, the way it runs is the middle section and these little ones on the outside are about half the size of the actual studs. So it's kind of like a 2-tier design. You're getting like 2 different levels of blades, and then there's from one up here. Like look at this guy. You see that one right there?
That's vicious.
It's vicious. It's like a claw. It's like gonna dig into somebody's leg. As long as it's not your own, I guess you're gonna be okay. But
yeah, no, I was gonna say that's scary. I mean, not something that I would want to wear on artificial surfaces for sure.
Yeah. You guys watching right now, what do you guys think of these boots? And have you got any questions about them in terms of performance? I was supposed to wear these last night. I decided not to because I wanted to get some better images and a video. I did a video today that I need to upload. So I didn't wear them last night, but I am wearing them tonight. So I'm going to put some footy tonight, and I'm going to be testing them out. And I'll probably put a picture up on Instagram afterwards to let you know how they look after the first play and how they feel. So watch out for that. So yeah, so there we have the F50 out of that series. Out of the 4 boots, I think Adidas did a really good job with the 11 Pro. I like that. I like that white design. I like that white, blue, black. It's pretty sharp. Brings in more so iconic colors I'd expect them to put on a comfort boot like that. So.
No, absolutely. It's an understated design. It's just a classy looking thing. Like for me, I'm gonna go with the Nitro Charge as my pick out of this series, just because of the color hits.
I was kind of surprised that a lot of people online, when I put up the images, a lot of people were commenting on the fact they like the Nitro Charge the best, which means they did something right with that design, right?
No, I mean I've been down on the Nitro Charge since the new edition of it came out as aesthetics because it all seemed put together and kind of all over the map. But they've done a really good job combining colors on this one, so it looks really, really sharp. I suppose while we're on Adidas, we're gonna go. Okay, we'll go into Black History Month.
You go. I'm gonna flip back to you.
Okay.
You should be able to talk for a minute there.
Well, I was gonna say while we were on the topic of Adidas, did you want to bring up the other package, or should we hold off till later on?
SL. Let's hold up. Let's go through 1 or 2 other things first.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got as Rich said, I've got the 11 Pro SL here, and I obviously want to give you guys a quick intro to them as well. But first thing I want to bring up, since it's a little bit more relevant to right now, is the Superfly Black History Month edition that was released as part of that collection last week. And this is a pretty stunning design. I mean, they don't get much bolder than this styling. You've got like that 3 different textured designs on it. Pretty wild design, Rich, huh?
It is. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that I am too. It's a boot it's not even available yet. I think it's the 29th. It's going to be on Nike.com.
Yeah.
So nobody has a pair of these yet. But they're going to be pretty hot commodity when they're released.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see some television time for these boots over the course of Black History Month, and so I wouldn't be too surprised. I mean, if you saw maybe doesn't necessarily suit his game, but he just wears what he wants anyways. A guy like Paul Pogba possibly show up in a pair.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
It's a stunning design. This is if you're going to do special edition sort of limited release boots, as opposed to, let's say, giving a Cristiano Ronaldo a new boot every, about as often as I drink cups of tea, which is a lot. You can do more things like this. Like I know Nike did. They did the N7 package on the Hypervenom for Chris Wondolowski, which was for the Native Americans that they do have, and I wish they would do more along that as well. So it's nice to see them getting out here with this sort of a release for Black History Month.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good looking boot, and yeah, I'm interested to see if people do actually wear them on pitch. If there are players that wear them, and as I said, I'm nearly positive it's the 29th, so there's still another week. Maybe it's the 27th, somewhere thereabouts. There's still another week before they're released. Anybody watching right now? Anybody going to pick up a pair of these? If you are, let me know in the comments below, because I want some images from you and some details on how you like the boots when they arrive in. All right, next up. Let's keep this rolling along. All right, since we've got the Africa Cup of Nations, we might as well bring up the EvoSpeed 1.3 Africa Edition, which I believe you should have on your screen right now.
I wish I didn't.
Yeah, a little bit of a wilder design, huh?
Yeah. I mean, Puma is usually so good with things like these. I mean, in 2010, which I always go back to, they've sponsored pretty much every African team in the World Cup, and they still have that monopoly on African national teams. Usually, I love what Puma come out with. The Tricks package that they came out with for 2010 for the World Cup was perfect. It fit in very well with that vibe of what they were going for, the idea of African unity and everything else. I mean, I haven't read the full briefing on it, but I mean, I know it has ties in African culture, obviously. Otherwise, they wouldn't release it for the African nations. It's just, aesthetically for me, not a fan.
No, I'm not either. But here's my thinking on this one. I don't think Puma gives a damn what we think about this release, because I think it is literally addressing players in Africa. And I'm sure they've done some research on it, and they know that these boots will sell down there. What you got to take into consideration about this boot, and I found it a little bit odd, is that external support system is not on this boot, that cage, EverFit cage.
Yeah.
So it's not like a boot that was marketed directly to U.S. consumers. I just get that feeling about it.
No, I can see that entirely. Yeah, because I mean, it's something which I suppose it's marketed to the U.S. customer who has to have every special edition pair of Pumas per se.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely made because everyone took a look at this and their first thought was, well, it's just the 1.2 or it's.
And yeah, And that's what I actually had to research it a little bit before I was fully convinced that it was the 1.3. And it's not necessarily a 1.3. It's kind of like a hybrid in between. So it's definitely a unique release in itself. But as you said, I mean, design-wise, it's not really a super effective looking boot for what we would be looking for.
It looks like honestly something somebody just kind of threw together in like 4 minutes in I'm not going to say Photoshop because that's not accurate, but like Corel Draw, if anybody remembers the archaic Canadian word processing and artistry program. Corel Draw, it looks like somebody's just thrown it together in about 4 minutes.
They probably did. I'm looking at YouTube right now. We got some comments in. We got Christopher Garibay who says he loves the series. You guys are great. Love that. Respect to that. Christian Lopez asked about the CR7 boots or cleats. We're going to go over them in a little bit, so we'll get to that for you. Wong says, I'm fairly skeptical of a 3-stud heel. The entire stud configuration promises plenty of grip, though. Very true, and that's what I'm expecting tonight when I play. And then Ollie, or the coolest guy, wants to know Nike Premiers or Copa Mundials. Let's keep that one for a little bit later. We'll hit that question a little bit later. Which would you prefer, Rich, the Premiers or the Copa? So that's something we can answer in a little bit. Right now, let's move it along. Should we go the Evo Power Camo? Let me get rid of this image right here. Hey, what's up? I'm back.
You're back.
You want to go to Evo Power Camo, Evo Power Release, or do you want to go 11 Pro?
Let's go. Let's stick with Puma. Why not? Are we going Release or Camo?
So I've got an image right here that Puma posted on social media, and I figure we might as well pop it up. I thought it was pretty interesting. It is. There are 4 camo designs they've released in recent times to try and hinder us folks interested in boots from finding out what the boots are all about before release. I know Ethan has a pair of the Evo Power, the second boots down, in that camo, like military camo style design. And then the other 2 are the Evo Speeds. And then the top one is our current Evo Power, which is a pretty cool look at the designs they've come up with. Very wild, very rambunctious. Not really a fan of any of them, but they obviously give something fresh and new to the market that's a little bit different, where Puma are able to introduce us to boots without giving us the full specs before release. Top pair, interestingly enough, I have a pair that are due in most likely tomorrow or maybe Thursday. So we're going to get a look at those firsthand. And then I know that the Evo Power, which... Do you want to find out anything on this before I move on to the Evo Power release?
Yeah, no. I mean, I know you've never been a big fan of these Puma camouflage releases. And also, I know there's a wide variety of the boot community who sit there and go, well, these aren't camouflage releases, because for it to be camouflage, the idea is you have to do like a completely blacked out sort of edition. And it only sort of appears in training as opposed to ever on the field sort of idea, the match. But there is something to be said for this being camouflage. And the idea is historically it's naval camouflage. It's a pattern called the Dazzle pattern, which I think actually one of the original creators of the idea was Winston Churchill, to go back into his time as First Lord of the Admiralty in World War I. So the idea is that not that it's not designed to be seen, but it's just designed in a manner so that you can't necessarily tell, in this case, specifics, obviously, of what the boot has to offer. In naval terms, it was so that you couldn't necessarily judge distances. So they'd be painted very much like the Evo Speed 1.2 or Evo Speed 1, I can't tell, down the fourth one down.
The 419 is the very first one that was released.
The very first, yeah. So that's the very first Evo Speed. So yeah, that sort of design is what battleships were originally kind of painted, so that you couldn't necessarily tell distances. So the idea is, I'm a fan of the idea, but that's because I spent a couple of years majoring in history, so
Right.
I'm a little bit of a nerd on that. So
Well, that's
we
pretty good. That's pretty good insight right there, and I'm sure that gives people some different perspective on what Puma are trying to do. Well done, my history major.
not a problem. It's always fun to educate. This one came a little bit more research than my random O'Higgins lecture of our last episode, but where I was fact checking while I was giving the lecture.
Yep, it worked. I got some good info from that one as well. Let's move on real quick. We're not going to stick on this one too long. It's Evo Speed, the Aguero edition, the Kuhn edition. Interesting design. To me, it looked like the prior model that they had released with that red and white mixed styling. You get your Kuhn hit on the side, and obviously Aguero wore these. Let me
On the
pull up that
weekend.
image. Yeah, let me pull up that image while we're
But
talking about it.
while you're doing that, I have an important question about
Hey,
that
guys.
release, which again, unfortunately for Puma, and I usually love their designs, it seems very slapdash done because you have a player in Sergio Aguero who is undoubtedly probably the best striker in the Premiership, uh, maybe closely followed by Diego Costa, but you have a guy who is Argentinian. The colors of Argentina are light blue and white with a bit of yellow for the sun. Uh, the colors of Manchester City, the club he plays for, is sky blue. So you design a pair of boots which are red and white with some black, the colors of your crosstown rivals, and coincidentally, the club that you're playing when you debut these boots.
Yeah, you're kind of sending mixed signals right there. You know, it's for me it resembles the Etihad crowd in the sense that there's always something missing, and there's something missing with this release as well. It's kind of odd. I know it's related to what Puma are doing with their custom boots for players right now. Is they're allowing them to bring in their influence and their history, and it was who was his first team? Independiente or Estudiantes or somebody?
Okay, that would make sense if it
I'm not
was.
yeah, I'm not sure what team it was. I can't remember offhand. But it was his original team, and that's where he gets this design from.
Well, it's also that, and that hit on the side is also, I believe, because he's like a comic book aficionado.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's got to do with a dog.
yeah, Independiente.
Yeah, it was Independiente.
Yeah, it's
So,
whose colors are red, white, and black. But yeah, it's I mean
right.
it's
But as you said, it's the same colors as Manchester United. You're a Man
also,
City player, and your
it's
boots.
also the same colors as Arsenal, who you played when you debuted the boots, and
Yeah.
who coincidentally are sponsored by.
Ah.
It was all a setup.
Can you imagine Michael Carrick coming out in a personalized pair of sky blue boots?
I can't imagine anybody letting Michael Carrick personalize a pair of boots.
That's true. You wouldn't know he He'd probably just go black. I don't know.
Be like boring James Milner.
Yeah. Boring James Maria. Or angry Di Maria. All right here. Next up, I'm gonna lock in my screen for this part. Okay, we got the 11 Pro. We've still got like Vapors, Superflies, Players, ton of stuff still to cover. We're still watching out for you guys' comments in the section down below. So leave us some comments if you got anything to share. Right now we're gonna look at the 11 Pro SL, which arrived in this pretty cool box. It's a larger style box than your traditional release. It's kind of like what Adidas do with their SLs. Opens up on one side. Inside you got your boots, which we will take a look at, and then you got nothing else other than a boot bag. And the boot bag mimics the styling of the boot, and that's black on one side and that neon yellow style on the other side. And this is a fabric material, so it's a little bit different to the F50 bag, which is a textile, so it's soft.
So I can wash that one.
Yeah, you can wash this one. Boots themselves. All right, so they've got that wild textured design, kind of like a crisscross paneling. As you can see, there's a layer of stitching that runs right through the middle right there. You can kind of see it under that underlay, right?
Yep, no, it's there. It's just, necessary when you consider the material of the boot.
Yes. I mean, you're right on the border. It's a synthetic material. Or sorry, it's hybrid touch. So it's got that kind of like slight grippy material on top.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say probably necessary because it feels a little bit thin. Same thing on the heel. And yeah, as you can tell, it's got that split design. And then you got your sole plate with the ability to add mic coach, which I hadn't thought about till now. But yeah, it's in there as well. Insole, one of my favorite things about the boot, they've got this like memory foam padding just along the heel, and I love it. I really like that.
It's always nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit of balance, a little bit of spring in your step. So
it's a little bit of padding for a super light release as well.
Yeah. I mean, the insole itself is pretty thick. It's definitely not a lightweight insole. So there you have it. This is the 11 Pro SL that arrived in. Any comments or questions on these ones?
Color-wise, I love them.
Yeah, it actually is a pretty decent look. My wife likes it as well.
Yeah, it's a classy. It's not a classic look, but it's a nice. It's a classy looking look. So yeah, no, it's lime greens and like electric sort of yellows at times. So
real quickly, I might as well bring in the 11 Pro themselves, so that you can kind of see. So you can tell. Let me show you these real quick. So I've tested these ones already. I've been wearing them a while. Really nice in the sense that the leather material on top, you can see how it's starting to crease and fold.
Mm-hmm.
And you can almost see how it provides the underlay system provides support, because this is a thin material. And we talked about this a few weeks ago whenever we initially discussed the boot. But you can even see it more in play right now. The upper is just so supple right now.
Yeah, it's definitely worked in, whereas yeah, this upper.
Yeah, so when you put them side by side, you can kind of see how that underlay system on the 11 Pro, and that they've literally stripped back this SL version.
Yeah.
I mean, much prefer this design than this design.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it remains to be seen. I mean, the thing I have a preconceived issue with any sort of super light boot for the SL. Not for the SL, for the 11 Pro. Because you're marketing a boot as a comfort boot with a comfort sole plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to release a boot and market it to the people who aren't really interested in the boot that we've created.
Yeah.
It looks really nice, but I don't see that really marketing towards the person who's gonna buy an 11 Pro.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be people that want that hybrid combo, odd style design, odd style of performance, I should say. So yeah, I mean, their price point, I think they're like $250, I want to say. I don't see them selling that well, to be honest.
I see them. I see them selling decently just because of the design, but I think it's going to be that person. There's probably going to be that person who doesn't want to move from the F50 sort of style, because it's probably going to weigh in just. I think it's 6.2 ounces, which is just a little bit heavier than what the prior generation F50 weighed, with the F50 moving up to 7 ounces. Has that same sole plate as the previous F50, which is just recently now replaced. So it can kind of be that sort of catch-all, but that's the only way I see it having a marketplace.
Yeah. Okay, next up, I'll keep this moving along. Hey, you guys watching right now, I know there's a ton of you out there. Please give us a thumbs up on this video so we know that you're watching. It gives us a good indication of who's tuned in and watching a lot of the video. Gives us some feedback. Right here, we have got an NFL style boot, an American football style boot. This is the Vapor Untouchable that will be worn by several players in the Super Bowl, which I believe is February 1st.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, and the reason we just want to bring this one up is because you can see how design elements transfer from both sports. Obviously, this boot is not going to be suitable for soccer for several reasons, including the blade or stud configuration and that upper, which is a lot more squared than what we are used to in soccer. It's in football, you're not going to have a product that's designed to sit snug across your forefoot for obvious reasons because you're not kicking a ball. Unless you're a kicker, and that's why they wear soccer shoes. But in terms of design, you've got a similar type of mid-cut collar. This one is different in that it's not expanded into the boot, and it's supposed to be a little bit tighter. But yeah, you can see how the elements transfer. Pretty good-looking boot, huh, Rich?
I guess. I mean, I come across a little bit on a downslope of it is there's no need for it because guys are just wearing the Vapor Superfly.
Yeah, a lot of them are. You're right.
It comes in. It's going to be heavier. I mean, I see this being more of a boot for more like sort of linemen as opposed to the players who I think they're marketing it towards, which is defensive backs and wide receivers who are mostly if they're wearing the Vapor, they're wearing the Superfly.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about the football scene to know exactly what players are looking for. But
I mean, I can only imagine that's going to be heavier as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you'd imagine that some players out there would need heavier, though, because you need to be a little bit more grounded to the ground than we do as soccer players, where you need to be explosive and rebounding at all times. Whereas in football, you're pushing against heavier guys, and you want your feet to stay on the ground. So
no, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's elements, obviously, that we don't quite understand, not being football players and not being American. But whatever. Hey, Superflies for Cristiano. His Ballon d'Or pair, which obviously has his personalized touch with that lower mid-cut collar. I'd call it a low-cut collar, I guess. That's what you could call it. One pair created just specifically for him, and he wore them last weekend.
Yep, and he got to watch, was it Fernando Torres score 2 goals wearing those?
He did. Oh, yeah, he wore them on...
In the midweek.
Was it this weekend or was it last Wednesday? When was that?
It was Wednesday. It was the middle of the week in the Copa del Rey is when he wore them. The one time only. I like the design. Nike's done a good design here for a one-off. I mean, when James won the Golden Boot, the World Cup, or was it the Golden Ball? One of the two. At the World Cup, they designed him a pair, and there were 6 pairs ever made, and he wore one, and it was basically just the battle pack with gold as opposed to white. Nice. Nike does a good job with their one-off here. Not a fan of not a huge fan of like the idea of diamond encrusting of boots. I've seen it a few times, but usually it comes out terribly. But no, it comes out nicely here. I wish that Nike, if they're designing boots to the exact specifications of Cristiano Ronaldo, which is what they say on the tag of on the insole of the Superfly CR7 edition, then they should probably be designing those boots with the mid-cut collar that Mr. Ronaldo prefers, considering his specifications.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's what he likes best, wouldn't you think that they'd allow your everyday player to have the same experience? Yeah.
Especially if they're shelling out $300 for his boots that are
Yeah.
designed to his specs.
So here he was this weekend wearing his boots, and you can kind of see how the style goes with the Real Madrid kit. Kind of goes well because you got your gold elements, your black and white in the Madrid kit as well. So
Oh, it's a nice looking addition. Nice. It works. I
it
almost wish
is.
they'd do it as they'd have just held out. And as much as I love the CR7 pack that they did, I almost wish they'd just held out for the Blonde D'Or and just come up with that and sold that because that would sell. That would sell very well.
I
I'd
think it
I'd
would too.
consider I'd consider buying a pair. And we all know that my love of Cristiano Ronaldo isn't very high.
Well, that is saying a lot right there, my friend. Nike, take notes. You just won Rich over. Before we get into some player spots, let's hit that Copa versus Premier debate. Which pair would you purchase and why?
I would purchase the Copa Mundial because, much like Ray Winston, the Copa Mundial daddy.
Right.
That's, I mean, guys are still wearing the Copas. Stan Petrov playing over 35s, coming back from cancer. He's wearing the Copas. The Copa it's the classic boot. If you're looking for a classic boot, go with the Copas. I think you might have a slightly different opinion to
I'm
me.
going the opposite way. I am actually about the Premiers right now. Number one, the price range. And number two, they've been completely modernized for the current day player. So you get that classic look with some modern performance elements at a really good price. And my experiences with them have been pretty positive. I've found that they're durable and they last a season like a pair of Copas would. So why not?
I suppose the other question would be is how wide is the feet?
Of the
Because
Premier?
if you're well, no, I know the Premier runs a little bit narrower than the
Yeah.
Mundial.
Yeah.
So if you'd be on the wider side, then you'd definitely go Copa
Right.
over
Right. So that's
Premier.
that's something you got to consider as well. If you're looking for a wide fit and boot, the Copa is probably a better option. New Balance update. That was our answer right there, Ollie. Hope that give you your answer. And I know you would have been looking for a New Balance update as well. Fellaini this past weekend sporting his pair of what did we say these were going to be called?
I don't know if we know what those ones are going to be called because they look different from the ones that we have a name for.
Yeah, I don't know. What did we say the other
That
ones
was the Furon.
Yeah,
The
Furon. Yeah, Furon.
the Furon. I mean, and this is of course Marouane Fellaini celebrating his game-winning goal against Queens Park Raisins on the weekend.
Yeah, they're a good side. Very tasty side.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they beat the California Raisins in the in the fourth round of the Cup.
That would have been a tough game right there. And then we have more New Balance because actually we have two more New Balance, right? Because we got Ramsey right here, and what is an white orange style design. So this right here, just this one image alone tells me that we are very, very close to New Balance releasing these boots. If they're going to bring out more color in their boots as opposed to just their traditional white, which was their kind of like sneak peek preview, this is telling me, hey, we're ready to bring these boots to market.
And yeah, no, and the sooner the better.
Yeah.
I want to see what they have. I want to see what they have to offer.
Yeah, we've been waiting a while. They've marketed it well. They've put a good strategy in place with this one. But they're leaving us hanging on, wondering when they're going to be released. And then this last spot we had, which is the Furon spot, and you can see the source down below. We found this one on Twitter, which could be one of their upcoming designs. It kind of brings in that same elements we've seen in the Ramsey boots. So, yeah, this looks pretty unique, especially that sole plate.
Yeah. The word I end up using a lot with sole plates is this looks terrifying, and for me personally, it still scares me. So I'm a little bit scared by it. I mean, studs all over the place and no sort of set kind of configuration whatsoever.
Mhm.
Two studs on the heel, which look like these smallest looking things that I've ever seen. I mean, obviously, we don't get the greatest zoom on the picture just because that's obviously the way the taker wanted
Yeah,
it to look. But they look very very narrow on the heel, very narrow.
they do, and there is a pretty wide gap between that last mid-foot stud and the heel. That looks extensively long. Kind of reminds me of the Pele Sports releases, where you got that huge gap in between the studs.
Yeah, I mean Nike tried it with the Vapor of going with just the two heel studs, but they went with blades and they moved them further up. So yeah, it's something like the Pele Trinity almost, except without that third stud, obviously for support. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how they play out. Uh, should I have to see how they play out, I will. Would I prefer to be the one guinea pigging those? Probably not, but just be brutally honest, just throwing that out there, I would probably not prefer to be the guinea pig on those ones, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we can't be too far away from release. I just spotted we missed one boot as we're going along here. As I said, we got so much that we've been talking about that we're obviously going to miss stuff here, there, and everywhere. We forgot the EvoPower 1.2 release. EvoPower
Ah,
1.2
yes.
release, which we have right here, and these were released today. I actually still haven't posted about the website. I've been a little bit busy today, but yeah, here is our design in the flesh, so we can kind of see what's going on without um, the camo style design. I'm gonna lock in that image so people can stay tuned in on it. Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Rich? What's your opinion of the actual release boot?
I'm a fan of the design. Uh, it's different. I mean, you still have a little bit of that. I'm not sure what's going on up here on that lateral side of the boot where you're kind of waving the mouse around there.
Yeah,
But it's interesting. I'd be interested to see what it is. I'm assuming it's part of that the external cage support system that.
I would imagine so. Since it's going through the laces, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's interesting to see how the is it the adapt light and the
Like, yeah.
memory foam
Mm-hmm.
has kind of changed. Seems to be more use on like longer pieces of foam almost
Yeah,
underneath the upper.
and these red areas have that grip text material. So it's going to
Okay,
be,
so then yeah,
which will be useful. To me, they look very robotic. They remind me of like a circuit board or something.
yeah, no, I can see that. It's yeah, with the way the definition is, the way the highlighting is. I mean, if it's an improvement on the Evo Power 1, then it'll be a contender for Boot of the Year, and it's
Yeah.
January 20th.
The other Evo
So
Power was moved the years last year.
save,
So
save that date, January 20th, potential Boot of the Year. Yeah, I do like it. It'll be interesting. I'm also interested to see what other colorways are coming out with it too,
yeah,
because there's a lot you can do with that sort of design.
there really is. There really is. They're going to have some interesting designs coming out. I know I've seen one or two already, so we've got some in store. As far as it goes, Rich, I think we've blown through everything we had this week, and everything we had was a lot of information.
No, absolutely.
Which
There are
is all X'd out, and
okay.
and everything
Uh,
that I had on my screen is gone. So,
that's
oh, you
good
know what we
news.
should do? You should talk for a second, and I'll help YouTube to see what the folks are saying on there.
I got some questions from YouTube.
Oh, go ahead. Give us your questions.
So we got Reed Gilmore who says going back a little bit,
Yeah.
but do you guys prefer the Magista Opus or the Obra, and conversely as well, the Vapor over the Superfly?
Do you prefer the Opus or Obra and the Vapor and
Yeah. So you're comparing the two Magistas, the Opus and the Obra,
yeah,
and then you'd be comparing the Vapor to the Superfly. Now, you've worn all of those boots.
Yeah.
I haven't worn any of them, but I can make my choice based on our conversations and my wearing of the Elastico Superfly, what I prefer.
For me, all four, it's Vapor stands as number one.
Yeah. But it's out of the two. I'm assuming it's out of the two silos. So out of the Magista silo, would you prefer the Obra or the Opus?
Obra.
Oh, that shocks me. Well done.
Yeah,
I'd go the same way.
For what they bring to the table and the player that they're specifically developed for.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously you would take the Vapor over the Superfly, and I would take the Superfly over the Vapor just because the Superfly is more geared to the way I play, whereas the Vapor is geared towards your sort of game.
Yeah.
And then
the poor Opus.
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna look for the Opus.
No, I wouldn't. That was the thing is I would take the Obra over the Opus just based on the way it's designed. Of course, if you play that sort of the easy way to describe it is if you play that boring James Milner role, then you take the Opus over Obra.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then you have another question. Another question we had was Alan McCarthy, who just asked, are the F50s as light as the last ones? The answer is no, they're heavier.
Yep.
And just wondering if the internal heel counter is as light as the external from the last F50. I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, it's heavier, just based on the fact that that boot seems to be all sole plate and heel in weight.
Yeah, I'm locked in on me right now. I'm looking for F50s. Do I have any in here? Yes, I do.
I can see an old pair of F50s. I can see a newer pair.
I gotta go high. All right. So this is the last model, and this is the current model. And one of the major differences is obviously the what was this called in the back? The
heel counter there, yeah, which is
this region in here, whatever that material was called. I forget offhand.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of like you can guys see how it was see-through, and on this version, it's full-on boot with some foam in between.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of what he's referring
to. No, exactly. I mean, the new F50 seems a lot more robust.
Yeah.
Just looking, if you compare the two of them, there's a lot more about it. The upper's thicker, you can tell. Like I said, the sole plate is entirely different. Mine is a lot heavier, just based on the sheer number of studs.
And the sprint frame is gone, which again is probably something else that he's talking about. So, yeah, there's definitely huge differences. In terms of sturdiness, obviously that sprint frame added plenty of support in the heel region. The removal of this lightweight, very thin, I forget what it's called. I want to say sprint web? I don't know. Sprint web maybe?
No, the sprint web was from 2012. That was the little plasticky bit that ran around sort of the part of the foot on the synthetics.
Yeah, well, whatever that was called. And obviously this is going to be different because it's a lot thicker, a lot more padding.
Yeah.
You don't have the heel support, but in terms of actual feel, it is very rigid. So there is plenty of support in there. Does that cover that question?
I think that covers that question. I'm just trying to see what else we have. Well, we answered Christian Lopez's comment of did we like the new CR7? No, we do. And the other question that was here was from EI Peck. If I pronounced that wrong, apologies. How does the upper compare to a Vapor or the previous series Addy Zero? I assume he's talking about the F50 you have in your hand, which you're currently smelling.
Yeah, I was waiting my nose. Vapor to the so the current Vapor against this model?
The current, it just says the current Vapor, the upper of it, to the Addy Zero there, and then obviously the prior edition, which we've touched on in the last comment, answering the last question, of it's a lot thicker.
Well, I don't have the Vapor X in here right now. I have the previous model of the Vapor. I have the Vapor X, which was the Cristiano edition. I really should bring in more boots for our episode, shouldn't I? Very different, and the reason it's very different, I'm going to lock myself in again so people can see. The upper on the Addy Zero has that textured feel to it, obviously. Whoa, got some boots falling behind me. And it's thicker. It's definitely thicker. It's not. If you look at the material on the Vapor X, it's a lot more pliable, softer. But then again, that could have to do with wearing these once or twice.
No, absolutely. So it's
Well, yeah. I mean, the straightforward answer to that is let me test them out tonight, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, but just from touch, it's quite different.
Yeah. Yeah. Just from touch,
sort of be less straightforward answer.
Yes, I should have just went with that one, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
And I also noticed that Willing Football. He's late, but he's here.
Excellent. Always good to have our Brazilian friend along.
Yeah, but we're leaving now. We're leaving.
But
you guys
catch it on the replay.
Yeah, you can watch it on the replay. Make sure you leave us comments down below if you're watching on the replay. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Definitely appreciate the thumbs up. Until next week, when we will have some Puma boots and anything else that goes on this week. Maybe New Balance. Who knows?
Maybe we'll get some New Balance stuff, or maybe another South American club with a ridiculous name will change kit providers, and I can bring out another history lesson. Who knows? Hey,
did you see that? Did you see that French company? Those boots from France? That
No.
That Andrew Lockhart sent a link about? No. So there's
I didn't get the link.
French company, another one of these companies that like Royale and Panafolo and all those companies that just make old school traditional leather boots, and we have a request in for a pair, so they might be on the way as well. So we're gonna have something.
Well, that'd be excellent.
Very small company, very small company. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get a pair of those in pretty soon, as soon as possible.
That'd be
that's it.
Brilliant.
I'm done. I'm all booted out. That's the end of this week.
Well, you've got to go kick balls with boots soon, don't you?
I gotta leave in 5 minutes. I'll leave at 7. So this is great timing. Great timing. As I said, Instagram. Check out Instagram. I'll post a picture after I play to let you know how these boots work out. You too, Rich.
Excellent.
Make sure you tune in.
I have the Instagram loaded up on the BlackBerry, so we're good to go.
Awesome. All right, thanks, bud. Thanks, guys, for watching.
All right, take care, guys.
See you next week.
Yeah.